Okay, so I'm just gonna like set the scene. So we relocated from Johannesburg, and my kids are in a quite a nice school in South City College, and I was late. We just moved into our house, and I was late to fetch my kids. And on the way to fetch them, the oil lights went on the dashboard. So instead of turning right to go to the school, I turned left to get to the first petrol station, which was Total in Ramsgate. And I pulled up at Clement's pump, and I asked him for oil. He put on oil in the car, and then he noticed that there was a whole lot of oil gushing all over the bonnet. And then I explained to him and his colleagues that I needed to get to my kids. I needed to fetch them like ASAP. I was late already. And Clement, without even noticing, without even asking me if I could drive a manual car, and I said yes. He didn't even know my name or my driving abilities, but he pulled up his car right next to me, and he had the keys in the ignition. The car was idling, and he told me, "Here you go, ma'am." In fact, Clement just left, and he continued work as usual, and his colleague had to show me, like, was the actual car that I needed to use. And yeah, so I left, and I fetched my kids. I came back, and I asked Clement, would it be okay if I were to drop my kids at home and myself, and if my husband could bring the car back? Clement was kind enough, and he agreed. And yeah, so since then, that's how it all started.
Okay, so let me just do a quick recap of what happened and what went down that day. Lane, your car decided, andizi sana, and the oil lines went on, and there was oil gushing out of your car, which then I suppose in effect affected the rest of the vehicle. You weren't able to change gears or do anything else. But then Clement, like the superhero he is, came through and decided to offer his car to you, a complete stranger. Now, Clement, why did you decide to help Lane, and who at the time was a complete stranger to you?
Yeah, but that day, she came to fix to come and put the diesel in the car. So she was so frustrated. The reason that I decided to give her my car, he mentioned that he was on the way to fetch the kids at school. Since I've got the kids, I think of the kids, that's why I lend my car to me.
Wow. Seems like it's all about the kids. Now, Clement, for yourself as well, you are growing and gaining a family of your own. Now, we hear that you've been wanting to get married, but due to COVID-19 and, of course, the costs involved, it's put your plans on hold. So please may you talk to me about your ideal wedding, Clement.
I just postponed about that during this COVID-19 things. Because at work, we used to work 4 days in a week. 4 days in a week. 4 days in a week. So I just postponed about that. So it's very hard. I think to everyone outside here, it's very, very hard due to this COVID-19.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it does seem like a lot of South Africans right now have had to put their plans on hold when it comes to COVID-19. And of course, the costs involved. People that are celebrating weddings, birthdays, graduations. A lot of people have had to put all those niceties at pause. But Lane, if I were to just come back to you, how has the random act of kindness that Clement has shown you made a difference in your life? And then Clement, I want to find out from you, what would you like to say to the rest of South Africa about doing small little things to help your fellow South African?
So, in society that we're living in today, about the world we're living in today, everyone's behind masks. We don't know who to talk to. In fact, most times, because of the social distancing, I'm too scared to even say hello to anyone. I think since the whole ordeal, it's made me go out of my way just to say hello to the people out there that's near me. You know, like the cashier at the till, like everyone, even all the other petrol attendants. I'm like going out of my way to make their day. Because, I mean, we need each other in this time. I think that we've lost focus. We've lost the humanity. So if we can just like reconnect and just say just a simple hello, like how are you, like just hang on there. These people losing their jobs like all the time, losing family members. There's a lot of loss happening right now. So if we can just extend the hello,
Yeah.
I think that's what I.
Absolutely. And for yourself, Clement, I mean, when it comes to helping the rest of South Africans and encouraging every other ordinary South African to do the same thing you did, what words of encouragement do you have to say?
Yeah, since we are all the human beings, we have to help each other because we all need help. Actually, we all need help. Yeah.
We need each other.
Yeah, exactly. I also need help once.
Well, they do say that no man is an island. We definitely do need each other. Thank you so much, Lane, and thank you so much, Clement, for joining us. But Clement, please do not move a muscle, because after these, we're going to be heading straight back to you for part 2 of our conversation, finding out exactly what this entire act of kindness means to you. But on social media, we're saying it's officially the month of love. We're going into, are you going into it single? Are you going into it taken? Or, of course, is it just a little bit complicated? Use that hashtag Afternoon Express in all of your comments. But after the break and coming up, we got random acts of kindness as we continue the conversation. And we're heading back into the kitchen with Dumi for a recipe with friends in your freezer with fish chowder.
Express yourself.
Welcome back to the show. Now, if you have missed out on the first half of this conversation, we're speaking random acts of kindness with petrol attendant turned knight in shining armor, Clement. Now, he came to the aid of mother of 3, Lane, and he essentially gave her his car as a stranger to help her and her young children. Now, of course, we cannot turn a blind eye to such incredible acts of kindness. We just had to bring on another friend, Clement, on board. How are you? Are you still there, Clement?
I'm still here, man.
You're still here. Now, Clement, it is my honor to introduce you to a very good friend of mine and a good friend of Afternoon Express. She goes by the name of Bonelwa. Welcome to the show, Bonelwa. Welcome back, Sissy.
Thank you so much. It's good to be back.
Now, Clemens must be wondering what's going on. Why am I being introduced to someone? But let me introduce you quite properly. Yabona uBonelwa, she is a fashion designer. She is the founder and, of course, the brains behind Bonelwa Creations. Now, she heard your story and she said, I cannot be left behind. I also want to feed into the good that you've done. Because you have given back to someone else with kindness, she wants to give back to you. So, Bonelwa, what was it about Clement's story that just spoke to you?
Hi, Clement.
Hello, Mama.
How are you?
I'm very good yourself.
I'm good, thank you. I heard about your story and what a good guy that you are for helping when it was needed. So now I wanna give something to you. I'm going to give you a custom-made wedding outfits for you and your fiance.
Woo! Woo! Now, can I get an amen? Hallelujah!
Thank you very much.
Now, Clement, Bonelwa heard about your story and she was just like, I need to do what I can to give back to you. So because, you know, with COVID-19 and, of course, the costs of putting a wedding together, that's a lot of money and it's very, very expensive, especially during a global pandemic. She's decided to gift you and your fiancé incredible wedding outfits so that you can rock on your big day whenever you decide to have it. How does that feel?
Yeah, feeling very awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Don't cry, you're gonna make us all cry.
I know, he's making us emotional. But before we do get emotional, Bonelwa, you have been on Afternoon Express before.
Yes.
But now when we're speaking about wedding attire, things that people must wear and shine essentially on their big day, you've brought together two looks for Clement to look through. Lane, because I'm hoping that you're going to take honorary duties of giving the females perspective. And we're going to have a little bit of a fashion show just to show Clement how him and his fiancé could be looking absolutely on their big day. Absolutely beautiful. Bonelwa, can you talk us through these two looks?
So I'm gonna start with the girl. So I love ball gowns because I feel like you feel more romantic when you're in the ball gown, and then you show with a bit of skin, and the look is everything.
Wow, beautiful. And I also see that you went with like a royal blue.
Yes, because royal blue, it's a color of
fabulosity.
Yes, fabulosity. And then it has pocket on the sides. You can just put your hands there.
I love that. Clement, would you be proud to see your fiancé rocking this outfit on your big day?
It's very, very awesome. They look okay.
Wow, absolutely stunning. I'm sure she'll be a stunner, turning heads on her big day. Now, it's time for you, Clement, the man of the moment, our superhero himself. You've got a gorgeous man's suit here, traditional, but also mixed with some Western inspiration.
Yes. I use a navy color because I wanted to dominate on these colors both, and then with a bit of shweshwe and the accessory for Clement to show that she's getting married, and then it's just a hat.
Clement. I mean, Clement, coming from KZ and having this, essentially this national treasure coming together to make sure that your dreams come a reality on your wedding day. Are you feeling this men's outfit? Hey, Clement.
I really, it's so good. It's so good.
It's beautiful. How much does this mean to you right now, Clement? And I'm so glad that we've got an opportunity for Afternoon Express to be on YouTube so that you and your fiancé can watch this fashion show back and decide on the final looks that you want. And also, Bonelwa, I want to find out from you, how big in the design collaborative process can Clement and his fiancé be involved?
They can just be involved with everything, from choosing fabrics, from choosing colors and everything. They can just tell me and then I'll do whatever they want.
Well, it seems as though, Clement, this is a good, I suppose, foundation, an idea of what you could be rocking on your big day with your fiancé. Congratulations again. I mean, Lane, when you see these two outfits and we build up to whenever Clement and his fiancé decide to go say their I do's, how do you feel about this amazing giveaway?
Yo, I didn't expect about this. Thank you very much. Thanks, sister. Thanks so much.
Welcome.
Well, in my little post, I did mention that I would like God to bless Clement beyond measure. And I know that this is just the beginning of many blessings in his life. Clement, you've got no idea how you've touched not only my heart, but I know that you're touching many hearts of the nation out there. And I know that there's many blessings. So prepare yourself for so many blessings.
Oh, wow.
The designs are beautiful, absolutely stunning. I look forward to seeing what Clement and his fiancée decide.
Well, listen, I think it's safe to say that this is going to be the wedding of the nation. All of us are going to be paying attention as to how stunning you both look. We just want to send you all the love, all the blessings, all the congratulations during this month of love in February. Saying again, congratulations and thank you, Clement, for giving a helping hand to Lane. And Lane, may you also pay it forward to the next person you come across who might be in the same need. Absolutely. And on that note, Bonelwa, again, thank you so much for having such an open, giving heart.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you to the models. Now, after all that excitement, after all that fashion, and after all that incredible giving away, paying forward those random acts of kindness, we have to throw to you, Dumi, in the kitchen, where I see you've got some guests of your own.
Wow, Palesa, even that is not a way to start the month of love, I don't know what is. There are a few things in life that are more comforting, satisfying, or nostalgic than a meal cooked by your mother. From the alluring aromas wafting through the room to the sound of the ingredients being prepared, the love that gets put in is clearly evident. Thanks to the Friends in Your Freezer campaign, you too can join in on this delicious recipe and you can share it with your loved ones. We're talking about the Friends in Your Freezer fish chowder, of course. Sea Harvest, McCain sweet corn, and McCain diced potato are all swimming in an ocean of cream and spices, ready to devour in less than an hour. Now watch as we show you how. I am joined by the amazing Grace Stevens and her beautiful son. Hi, Grace. How are you?
Hi. Thanks for having us in your beautiful kitchen.
Thank you for
nice to be here.
Thank you for taking the time out. Now, you're going to show us something about convenience here, right? This is more than just deliciousness, but convenience at most.
Yes, because you just pop these out of the freezer. Okay. I would take my fish out just a little bit, like about 10 minutes before anything else, just so that it softens so you can get that plastic off and then chop it up.
Okay.
But Simon is going to help me. We're going to put a little bit of oil in the bottom of our pan, and we're going to start off frying our bacon. Now, Simon loves bacon, but those of you who don't eat bacon, you can leave this part out of the recipe. And that's a really nice, so give it a good stir there and get it going. So I've put that on a medium heat. You want to get that nice and brown, and you want to render down the fat, because that gives it lots of flavor. And then we're going to pop in our onions. Simon, you can pop in the onions there.
And do you find that being a busy working mom, that these recipes actually work? I mean, instead of having to slave away in the kitchen all day, I mean, the convenience of just popping something out of the freezer.
There are days where you have 45 minutes to really whip up a beautiful gourmet meal. But for most of us, we go, oh shoot, is that what the time is? And so if you haven't defrosted anything, these guys don't need to be defrosted. You just take them straight out of the freezer and you whip up your nice chowder. So chowder is a nice thick chunky soup, and my family loves chowder, so this is really, so some garlic goes in there, so get that in there. I'll have stinky fingers. Okay, season that up, a little bit of the salt and some pepper, and I'm using smoked paprika here. You smell that? Doesn't like his mother putting things in his face. So pop that in there. That's going to give us a nice lot of flavor. And what you do is you cook that down, and then I'm going to put some flour in. So the flour is just going to thicken everything up and give us that nice chowdery feel to it. And what you're doing is you're just mopping up some of that oil that we have in the bottom there to sort of make a roux.
So it gives it even more body of flavor. So as it absorbs all that flavor, it basically goes back into the chowder when you add more liquid.
So while Simon is doing an excellent job over there, I'm just going to take out my beautiful Sea Harvest fillets over here, and I'm going to chop them up. Now, of course, you don't have to just use hake. If you want to use haddock, which has got a nice smoky flavor to it, that'll work brilliantly with this recipe. You can use half-half.
Okay.
Because sometimes haddock can be a little bit overwhelming if you're going to do the whole dish. So we're going to cut up some. So can you see this? It has been frozen. It's probably been out the freezer about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And look how easy it is to chop.
So it is good to leave a little bit of the frozenness in there because it actually helps you with cutting it up as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you want to make this as easy as possible for you. So you know what? Whip out the fish, put on the kettle, make yourself a cup of tea, or pour yourself a glass of wine, and then we're away. So Simon, what we're going to do now is we're going to pop some stock. So I've got fish stock in here, or you can use chicken stock.
Do you find that you help your mom a lot in the kitchen, or do you prefer to let her do all the cooking?
I help her a lot.
Simon is my little sous chef. He's amazing.
I see. He's smiling all the way, which means he's actually happy to be doing all of this.
Yes, I am.
Yes, and he's quite good at it as well. So now's the time when I'm going to chuck in my fish.
Okay.
And I'm going to put in my McCain diced potatoes, and then I'm just going to cook this for about 15 minutes. Fish cooks so nice and quickly, so it is a great go-to middle of the week sort of dish to go for, because we know you don't have to cook it for like half an hour or 45 minutes.
And I like the fact that you've chosen hake because it actually flakes up nicely once you put it in there and absorbs all that flavor.
Absolutely. What's your favorite fish?
Probably hake.
It is very sustainable, so that's one thing we can say props to Sea Harvest for, because it is on the sustainable list. And I think the one thing I love about these products is that they are frozen at their freshest, so you do know that you're getting quality from each and every ingredient.
And then if you don't use it all, you just, clip it together and pop it back in the freezer. That's what you call friends in the freezer.
I know.
So we're going to cook this down for about 15 minutes. It should bubble nicely. Those potatoes should go nice and soft. Your meat should become nice and flaky. And then you pop in some millies. My family love this. This is a great way to get carbohydrates into your kids. I'm sure it's the same. Trying to get them to eat something. Okay, so this is a nice fulfilling. It's what I like to call like a one-pot wonder. Don't you just
I love those.
There's very few dirty dishes now, and you can just serve it straight from the pot.
I agree with you, because this is basically what we're talking about when we say convenience. Not only convenience of the ingredient, but the convenience in terms of having to make the dish, because everything into one pot. You've saved yourself time, and you've saved yourself a whole lot of headache from the kiddies asking, "Mommy, when is the food ready?"
Oh, absolutely. And if they come and moan, then you just put them to work.
Like you've done just now. This looks absolutely amazing. I can smell the fish in there. I can smell the herbs. I can smell the paprika that you actually put in there.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, South Africa, but if you want to get your hands on this amazing recipe, then I do suggest that you head on over to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full ingredients list and the steps on how to actually make this recipe. I feel like this is something that I could even try and do this evening, because so easy, so simple. So if you want this recipe, go to afternoonexpress.co.za.
McCain and Sea Harvest have brought fun and creativity back into our kitchen. Reimagine mealtime with hashtag Friends in Your Freezer and stand a chance to win one of 10 PlayStation 5 consoles when you buy any one Sea Harvest and one McCain product. Don't forget to keep your till slip. T's and C's apply.
Express yourself.
Afternoon Express, where we are discussing random acts of kindness. Now today we chat to Dr. Jenny Rose, clinical psychologist, about what the psychological effects of doing random acts of kindness are. Now welcome back to The Loft.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Jenny, it's always so excited to touch base with you because from the top of the show we have been discussing random acts of kindness. Of course, we met Lane and Clemens.
Yes.
But I want to find out from you, what does this say about your character when you do these random acts of kindness?
Yeah, I think it says so much around your sense of confidence and sense of security in who you are as a person. And I think one of the biggest things it tells us is that a person is able to delay gratification. And that is something that we really should strive towards as adults and sort of in terms of psychological maturity. It's to be able to do something now without receiving any sort of feedback or in the moment sort of feedback around how you've done. It's rather being able to hold on to something and the good comes later. And that's essentially what being kind is about doing something in the moment and the effects come later. And then it sort of also tells us about how we validate our feelings. A lot of people use external ways of validating themselves, and doing kind things and showing kindness to others is really a way of using internal validation and sort of giving yourself rewards that you experience internally rather than seeking them from the external world.
Very important stuff that you're talking about right now, Jenny.
Sure.
But if we were to discuss cultivating then that kindness within our kids, how do we go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tricky one because it's something, most parents say, what do you want to do with your kids, or what do you want your kids to be? And a lot of people will answer kind. And I think for me, what is so critical about it is really around modeling. We want to ensure that we are modeling kindness in all ways for our kids to see. So we know that kids are more likely to behave in certain ways and develop certain behaviors if they've experienced it and if they've cultivated some sense of that for themselves rather than being told something to do. So what that means and translates to is you need to make sure your kid is able to feel kindness. You need to let them be kind and see what it feels like when you act in a kind way rather than trying to enforce it. So it's really about getting an experience of acts of kindness, both giving and receiving acts of kindness. And that will allow your child to do that more frequently.
Now, it's also quite interesting that you're speaking about this feeling, the feeling of being kind and receiving kind.
Yes.
So what is it about being, and what is so powerful about being kind that makes the other person feel a certain type of way? Where does that power lie?
Well, I think it really shows a psychological maturity in the person that is being kind, because I think what it says is that you have developed a sort of pleasure that is gained internally from doing something for others at no, sometimes even at an expense to yourself and sometimes a sacrifice of yourself. You're able to do something that is for the good of somebody else on an internal level. And now we know a lot of people that are kind are at times wanting external validation, or at times wanting credit from the outside world. They want to be thanked, or they want the world to perceive and see the kindness that they are showing. But we know that the real maturity comes when you're able to act from a kind position without wanting the external validation, but rather seeking it internally.
I love that. That sounds so beautiful. But if we were to then concentrate and focus on the other end of the spectrum, what then happens when our kids are unkind?
Yeah, I think we really want to encourage kids to know that whatever they're feeling is okay. So we shouldn't be trying to encourage our kids to not feel any of the more negative emotions, because what we're then teaching them is that they will become adults that struggle with identifying hard emotions. So we want to make sure that it's okay to feel jealous at times, it's okay to feel frustrated, it's okay to feel those harder emotions, as long as we are showing it in appropriate ways and not impacting others in any way. We want to teach them depth to emotional processing. We want to teach them how to be able to hold both good and bad emotions at the same time.
Absolutely. Very crucial, very practical tips here. But if we just were to find out one last thing from you, Miss Jenny Rose, is then what are some of the practical ways that we can encourage this kindness within our kids on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think again it speaks to sort of the modeling that you're going to show them at home, and I think for me it's really around showing grace within your home environment. And what we want to do is we want to use ourselves as the tool to teach kindness. So as parents, we should be showing kindness to our kids in times that they don't always deserve the kindness, and then at a later stage allow the sort of opportunity to help them to understand that and see that, to say, do you see how in that moment this is something I did, this is a tool that I used, I granted you, I graced you with some kindness when maybe it wasn't really what was necessary in the situation. And they're able to both experience it but also learn from it and hopefully then apply it later.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's what it's all about, right? Being able to learn and take things in, but then act on it on a daily basis. And let's see you acting out and being quite practical about how you are reenacting your kind on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jenny Rose, for stopping by once again.
Patty.
Happy New Year, happy month
And
of love,
to you
happy
too.
February.
You too.
We appreciate it indeed. Now, on social media, don't forget to connect with us on social media. Use that hashtag Afternoon Express and let's give in on the kind and the love. Now, after the break, we will be connecting with Gloria Bosman as we reminisce about Usbongile Khumalo's life. Protect what matters to you with insurance from Standard Bank. SMS Life to 31492 for a quote that fits your needs.
Express yourself. Express yourself.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, the sensational jazz vocalist with a long list of accolades, we welcome Gloria Bosman, who shares her memories about Umam Sibongile Khumalo. Welcome to the Loft, Ma'am Gloria.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, SA has truly lost a legendary songbird. And with getting to share the stage with Umam Sibongile Khumalo yourself, Ma'am Gloria, especially if we were to focus on the London Jazz Festival in 2015, as well as Uthandiswa Mazwai, what was it like for you and how did you first feel hearing about you sharing the stage with Umam Sibongile?
Well, it's a long standing relationship. I think of myself on a stage with her. So everything was just segueing out of the other into the other, and the excitement of it, you can't really explain. She had this very generous spirit on stage. So if you're a musician and you love music, we just wanted to be on stage with the Mamusbongile Khumalo. Why not? We all looked forward to it all the time.
Yeah, it seems like you definitely were rubbing shoulders with nothing but the best within the Mzansi music industry. But what were some of your fondest memories with Mamusbongile Khumalo?
I just want to thank her for always shouting at me. It made me a better person. Yeah, and more especially was when I was, like, I first met her and she taught me a song at the Market Theatre, and I first heard her voice and I couldn't believe what I was listening to. And that will always stay with me. It was a very precious thing. I've known her for over 27 years, so you can imagine how much I've learned from,
Absolutely. 27 years is nothing to kind of shy away from. That is a true, authentic relationship that we're seeing and experiencing. Now, with all of that said and done, even with her shouting at you, as you would like to say, how has Mamusbongile inspired you as an artist?
The dignity she brought into the jazz, I can't even explain it. I can't even fathom what stage or what light our jazz in. She was a part of it, and the fact that she was highly trained and on top of it, made her even more brilliant and valuable. I think that's the one big thing that we've lost is the dignity that she brought on, the calm, the clarity. She was very clear-minded. And a cultural person who respected amasiko and all of that, who respected the ancestors and all of that. She's very valuable. I can't even explain it.
Oh, wow. It just gives me goosebumps hearing you just reminisce on her memory and who she was to you in life. But she was just so many things to so many South Africans, and so many of us artists grew up listening to Mamusbongile and looking up to her. So how do you think she impacted the music industry?
For starters, you can't touch South African singers. We are at the top of any list anyway. And the fact that an opera singer could sing amazing jazz like that and amazing African music like that, that tells you what kind of a people we are. And to have people like her, like, sort of being in the forefront of that and being the passion of it, you can't ignore it. And also her love for young people. She always had young people around her, surrounded herself with a lot of young people because she was always a teacher. In the classroom and out of the classroom. Yeah. She was just busy imparting wisdom and knowledge and it's even earthly wisdom. As a mother, always showed up as a mother. So she did cradle this whole industry and the whole jazz fraternity, for that matter.
Wow. Well, it is in this time and in this moment that we just once again want to send our very deepest, warmest condolences, prayers, thoughts to you and the friends and family of Mamusbongile Khumalo. Her effect on the music industry and South African entertainment will truly be untouched. And thank you so much to yourself as a living legend, Umam Gloria Bosman, for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate it. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Now, Sibongile was surely loved by all, and her memory will forever remain in our hearts.
I honestly concur with Umam Gloria Bosman with that. Our artists are definitely top of the range, and who better than Mamusbongile Khumalo to fly that flag high. I salute you, Mama, and may your soul definitely rest in peace. Now, it doesn't have to be a Blue Monday when you could be enjoying the timeless taste of Clover Classic Custard. Our summerberry tart tatin are like a love letter served with Clover Classic Custard as we kick off the month of love on a sweet note. South Africa, the month of love is upon us, and I know a lot of you are thinking of ways and ideas on how to make dishes that basically represent love. Dishes that basically say to your loved ones, I love you, and this is how I show love. Now, this is one dish I definitely think does that. We are making a summer berries tart tatin, and to start it off, I'm going to get the caramelizing of our dishes in here. So I'm going to start off with some butter. What a tart tatin is basically, if I give you a bit of a history lesson, it started off with two sisters, the Tartan sisters, who included this recipe on their their menu in a hotel. And basically it blew up, and the next thing you know, it was their signature dish. And after that, in essence, it was named after them because they invented it in essence. And we are now making a tart tatin. Yes, it's a bit of a twist because normally how you'd make it is that you'd bake it in basically pastry and then caramelize the sugars in there of whatever fruit you'd be using, bake it with some butter and sugar. But in this instance, what we're doing is we're going to make the caramelized sauce, the sauce on the one side, and then we're going to add it onto our puff pastry tart shells that we're going to be making now. And so to do that, all we want to do is I've got some puff pastry that is basically at room temperature. This is basically to make it easier for us to handle it. I'm not going to even take it out of the plastic just so I can manage it easier. So all I'm going to do here is I've got a cookie cutter. All I'm going to do is, I don't even want to roll it out too much because in essence, I want to keep it nice and flaky because once it goes into our already brushed or greased pan, all we want here is we want those layers to basically show up as we're making these tart tatins. We're going to fill this up with our berries, but before I do that, let me just cover the rest of these muffin trays. So what you've got here is we've got our puff pastry, we've got strawberries, we've got some raspberries, we've got some mint, we've got some flour that we're going to use to thicken up our sauce, and we've also got some butter, sugar and vanilla essence that went into the sauce here. So all we want is we want this sauce to basically thicken up and get nice and thick. Basically the sugars from the sauce, the sugars from the strawberries and the berries are all just going to mellow together and make an amazing combination inside. And then we just serve this amazing dish with our Clover Classic Custard, which for me is a representation of love all on its own. So into this, I'm putting in our puff pastry. You could use any other pastry of your choice, perhaps phyllo pastry, but I would suggest that in that case, if you're going to be using the berry mixture, try and make it as thick as possible. So thicken it if you want to with cornstarch, perhaps, or make it more like a jammy texture before you use it for phyllo pastry. And you could even use a different kind of fruit, any fruit that's in season at the moment. You could use plums, you could use peaches. Do not use, though, any fruit that has too much water in it. Like, for instance, watermelon wouldn't work because it would have released too much water as it's baking. So you don't want that. We just wanted to, we want the ingredients inside to hold their shape. So watermelon would be too much and basically all runny, and we don't want all of that. So now that you can see, I've put all our puff pastry into there. And I don't know if you want to check here, see how this sauce is nicely caramelized. It looks so beautiful. So we're going to pour this onto our berries. To start it off, I'm going with our strawberries that are going in here. You could use any other berries. We've got blueberries as well. You've got blackberries that you could add. And like I mentioned, if you don't want to use berries, you could use peaches as well. And then into that, I'm going to add some raspberries. If you want to, you could even make this a crumble of sauce, you know, add the apples in there. Just make sure that the sauce is there because we want to be able to caramelize it because that's basically what the tart tatin is. And then I go in with my sauce. I don't want to pour too much because like you can see, it's nice and thickened. So all we want is for it to basically cook up those berries when they go into the oven. And as the berries basically soften up and cook, the puff pastry is going to bake up nicely, and it's all the butter in the puff pastry is basically going to puff up and give us those beautiful layers. This goes into the oven to bake. I would suggest you bake it at 180 degrees. Basically all you want that nice golden crust on either side, on the inside and on the outside. And then it comes out looking like this, beautiful. The berries are cooked, the flavors are in there. You've got the tartiness of the berries, you've got the sweetness from the sauce that we put in there. And to top it all off, we're going to put our Clover Classic Custard in there, which is for me the cherry on top for this recipe. So all we do now is just pop it in there. And I couldn't think of a better recipe for a month of love. I mean, it is red, which is perfect. And then we've got the flavors, well, berries. Whenever you're in love, you get strawberries and berries and whatever in love. So I think this is love personified. And some mint just to basically dress up our delicious dessert. And that is our dessert South Africa, ready to be enjoyed by you and your loved ones. And if by any chance you want all the recipe details, go to afternoonexpress.co.za for the full ingredients list. But I know some of you might have missed it, so here's a quick recap.
love by Clover.
So, we've had classic fashion from Timby, classic cars, thanks Chad, and we've seen classic hairstyles. And you, Michael? Classic!
A classic range from Clover. Timeless taste.
Made with love by Clover. Express yourself.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, with the sudden and sad passing of Umam Sibongile Khumalo, also fondly known as Mam Ngoma, that has most certainly left a gap within the music industry, we welcome Uloyiso Bala to pay tribute to her and all that she meant to him. Welcome to the Loft, Loyiso.
Thank you so much, Palisa. Good to be with you guys.
Now, the same way we touched base with Umam Gloria Bosman before the break, we just want to say to you and all of the artists, personalities, people, family, friends that were affected by Umam Sibongile's life, we just want to wish you very warm condolences, thoughts and prayers.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think also, more especially to her family, you know, because I don't think that anybody was or kind of knew that this was going to happen or that we'd lose Umam Sibongile at such a young age. Yes, she was 63 years old, but she was relatively young, and all of us really looked forward for the pandemic to be over so that we could all meet again as friends, as you know, like as colleagues, previous colleagues. So we could just enjoy each other's company again. And it's really sad that this has happened at this time, you know.
Now, Loyiso, such a sad time indeed to be experiencing this, and I know that she means quite a lot to you. So what was your first encounter and memory with the great Sibongile Khumalo?
So my first encounter was at a SAMRO board meeting. I just come into the board, very young at the time. Well, it depends what young is these days. She was the deputy chair, was actually chairing the meeting, you know, at that time. I noticed that, you know, she was really like a very private, reserved kind of person. But as I got to know her more and as she got comfortable just around all the newbies around that table, she really kind of opened up. And now I don't remember much about our first encounter, you know, like what's really kind of stayed in my mind is just an infectious laugh and just the moments when she's really, really silly. And I must say there were like pretty of those, you know, during our times together.
Oh, I can only imagine. But then, Loyiso, how did she impact your music career and what have you learned from her?
Mam Sibongile started off in classical. So if you check, she comes from a musical dynasty. She's got siblings. She's got like nieces and nephews who are in the industry, and even a father, Baba Mngoma, was also very well known sort of icon in the music industry, and actually served at SAMRO prior to me arriving. So I guess me coming from a musical family, me coming from a classical background, there was a lot that I kind of saw in myself that she had already done. So I think if there was one person who'd really kind of gone ahead of us and had paved the way, it was definitely her, starting in classical and then obviously then going into the popular genres in music.
Being able to be flexible, I think, is key and crucial within the industry. So you say that she was your mentor and that your friend, but can you just tell us a little bit more about your relationship? What were some of those special memories that you always share with her, or perhaps the words of wisdom that she shared with you that you'll always hold dear?
Obviously we were kind of like the young lions in that board, in the separate board. But Mam Sibongile just had a way of really just kind of remaining very diplomatic throughout everything. It was sort of like, if the world moves left, you must always just remain center. If the world moves right, you must always remain center, because eventually it's gonna land at center, and you've got to make sure that you're the one who kind of kept it together. So really, just her demeanor, just her pose, I guess, for the lack of a better word, and just the way like that she always kind of kept herself dignified, whether she was going through, trials or pains or whatever it was, she always just remained the same. And for me, that kind of taught me a lot, in my walk, I guess, in this industry, and just in my life in general.
I know that you both used to connect with any music. Is there anything musically you want to leave us with?
Well, so probably the biggest memory that I have of her, we were at a meeting, and at that time, a lot of musicians who were in the room were not happy at all. So people were coming there and they wanted to fight. I remember Mam Sibongile just kind of standing up, and she started singing just a part of the national anthem. Well, that part is not really in the anthem anymore, and she began to sing Makube Njalo, Makube Njalo, Kude kube ngunaphakade. And she sang that part, of the old anthem. And as she sang, everybody then kind of stood up and joined her. Yeah. And I must say, after that, the peace was there. She was a peacemaker in every single instance, whether it was by her speaking, whether it was by her singing, or even just that stare that lets you know, okay, cool, you better just sit down. And that's why, we've lost a great icon, we've lost a peacemaker, and someone that us as the younger musicians and, just the younger ones in the industry could have really just learned so much more from.
Well, thank you so much, Loyiso. Thank you for the music. Thank you so much for the heart. And thank you so much for sharing the memories of Mam Sibongile Khumalo from us here on Afternoon Express. Once again, Sithi Lala Ngoxolo Mama. We appreciate your contribution within the South African music industry. Thank you so much to you too, Jenny Rose, and to all of our guests on today's show as we exemplify all the acts of kindness that's so important, so crucial during this time. Whether you're experiencing loss or whether you're experiencing gain, we say siya. Keep strong, keep resilient, and let's keep it going. Cheers to you, Dumi. Thank you so much for this gorgeous food that we're about to indulge in.
Only a pleasure. Only a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And thank you so much, Mzansi, for tuning in. Good night, stay safe, and as we say here on Afternoon Express, good night. Happy eating.
Happy eating.
Afternoon Express, made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.